I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about what's in and what's out for 2026. For me, I think the start of every year is kind of a bit of a weird one. So I tend to use January as a bit of a sort of ease into the year rather than sort of fast forward and I've got to be a whole brand new version of myself right now. I've spent the last couple of weeks resetting and looking at how we wanted to move into 2026. So for me, it was about being really intentional, and I'm going to share with you the things that I think I want to focus on for 2026, so my ins, and the things that I'm definitely going to try and remove from my life in 2026. For me, first and foremost, it's obviously financial. So what's in for me is being boring and being consistent. So that looks like automating my savings, automating my investments, making sure that I'm continuously eating the same food, doing the same grocery shop, so that I know exactly what my expenses are for the month. It's about putting money into my pension, maxing out my ISA, maxing out my emergency fund, topping that up because we have spent some money on various things that we needed to cover, tracking my net worth and tracking my spending. It's about that compounding. It's not about having a massive shift in anything that I'm doing financially. It's just doing the boring stuff that I know works, that allows me to compound and see that growth over time. So that is definitely in being boring and being consistent. Number two, focusing on fewer goals. I've always been quite a driven person. I've always been someone who had lots of things that they wanted to achieve. And as I'm getting older, I realize that sometimes those can just be distractions. So if you have less things that you're focusing on, you can actually move forward and achieve the ones that you are focusing on quicker and in a much better fashion. So for me, I'm setting fewer goals for myself, and the goals are not really changing now. So things I was doing last year, I'm still continuing to do this year if they worked for me, but I'm focusing on like 3 maximum priorities at any one time, rather than having like 10 big goals that I want to achieve. And for me, they're really just about financial independence, my well-being, and just being really focused on my happiness and my work-life balance. They're the 3 big things for me, and they were 3 big things last year as well. So fewer goals, but a deeper focus on all of these goals. I will make sure that I work on my finances. I will make sure that I work on my well-being, and I will make sure that I work on my work-life balance because I have a new job, I'm still consulting, I'm still doing YouTube. So getting that balance is really important. Attached to that is saying no, and being able to say no without apologizing or having to give a long reason as to why I'm saying no to something. So I kind of know my worth. And what that means is if someone asks me to get involved with something, whether that's, not at work, because at work sometimes you don't have autonomy over whether you're involved in projects or not. But if I'm away from work and somebody says, do you want to apply for this, be a volunteer for something, or do you want to come and spend time focusing on this with me, or do you have time to help with this? I think I've got to start focusing this year much more on not having to over explain. I'm good at saying no because I brought that in a couple of years ago, just being able to say no, I can't prioritize that. But I think I would always give a long rambling reason as to why and kind of make a justification for it. Whereas this year I want to be able to say no, and that's it. I don't need to explain myself. If I've said no to something, and it could be a social thing, it could be something with my family, it could be work related, it could be taking on a new project, it could be doing additional consultancy, it could be an event. If I just don't want to go and it's not going to make me happy or make me feel comfortable, or it's just going to suck time that I don't want to give, then the answer is no, and I don't need to explain myself. So fewer goals and deeper focus is really, really important for me for 2026. Linked to that is putting my nervous system first. So number 3 is having a regulated nervous system. What that basically means for me, at least, is having slow mornings, having slow evenings, having a routine, and really doing the things that I know make me feel calm, at peace, not overwhelming and exhausting my central nervous system all of the time. So I want less adrenaline in my life, and I want to have less dopamine in my life. I want to have calm energy all of the time. And I know that's not possible constantly. So the other side to this is I'm not going to beat myself up if I do have a day that's manic. And I've had a couple already in January where I just didn't eat at the right times and I had to rush around from meeting to meeting, and I put a lunch in the diary that I probably shouldn't. And so yeah, I'm not going to get overwhelmed if I can't stick to these routines, but I do want to have a regulated nervous system. I want to slow everything down. I want to make sure that I'm putting myself first, and that means slow mornings, a good routine that I can stick to most days, going to bed early, waking up early, eating the right things, and moving my body. So yeah, trying to do things that bring me peace. I like to read, so bringing in more reading, journaling, colouring, and just I like to watch certain things on TV. So watching the things that I know don't trigger me and make me feel at ease. So that's really important for me, regulating my nervous system. Number 4, exercise is really important to me, but I'm now going to focus on training and exercising for longevity rather than for performance. So I'm a former athlete and I've spent a lot of my teens, 20s, and 30s pushing my body to the limit. And that was amazing when I was playing sport, and it's exactly what I had to do. But now I don't need to live like that. But it's taken me a while to get into what the next phase of my exercise routine looks like. So now I'm focusing more on weight training rather than high intensity intervals. I'm focusing on walking and getting my steps in. I'm focusing on yoga, stretching, Pilates, and things that will really help me as I age, and just looking at getting balance in my week. So again, not stressing out if I can't fit in 3 weight sessions a week, not stressing out if I don't do my 8,000 steps, but just aiming to have a situation where, or a routine where I can get those things in that I know are good for my body and will be long term. Number 5, sleep. This is a non-negotiable for me, but it's not been something I've nailed. So I'm still working on my sleep, and I'm a light sleeper. So any noise, any movement, any light, any time I go to the bathroom, I wake myself up, and my biggest issue is then going back to sleep because my mind starts racing. So I know that's linked to stress. So that's why I want to regulate my nervous system. But for me, having that nighttime routine that allows me to wind down, and I'm an early to bed person, so I will be tired and I start yawning from around 8:30, and the longest I can sort of stay awake and watch a TV show or do something is till about 9, and then my brain starts to really not like that. So my evening routines at the moment consist of relaxing, eating my meal, having a shower, putting on my pajamas, watching something that I enjoy, which currently, for those who want to know, is Columbo or Murder, She Wrote. I'm addicted to both of those shows. I've watched them like a billion times each already, but I really enjoy them. I know what to expect. I'm not going to be triggered. My brain can relax. It can start to wind down and switch off. So that's why I love those things. I then head to bed, to the bedroom. I've done turn down already, so I've already put my bed as I want it, ready to get into it. I brush my teeth, I put in my retainers, I take my glasses off or take my contact lenses out, and I read. And I like reading to be the thing I do before I fall asleep. Sometimes if I'm not feeling that tired, I still want to stick to that routine, but instead of reading, I might listen to an audiobook, because again, it'll be something like Harry Potter or Murder, She Wrote or Sherlock Holmes, something I've listened to a million times before that will just allow me to wind down. So I'm protecting my sleep. I have a routine. I go to bed and get up at the same time. The only time that changes is when I'm traveling for work, but I still try and bring those habits in even when I'm traveling. I don't want to wake up tired. I really don't function well when I'm tired, so prioritizing sleep is a huge one for me. Number 6, eating. I've got to start to eat more. I am terrible for skipping breakfast and often skipping lunch if I'm busy. So I want to make sure I have breakfast, I have lunch, I have an evening meal, and I have snacks. And obviously then I'm hydrating as well. I'm not focusing on a particular food group. I like to eat healthily. So I try and eat all of the food groups. I don't exclude anything. and I eat intuitively. So if I feel like I need more vegetables one day, I will have more vegetables. If I feel like I need more meat, I will have more meat. If I feel like I need more fats, I will have more fats. But just eating 3 meals a day is not negotiable for me moving forward. I have to stick to that. And when I do, I feel much more energized. I don't have dips in my blood sugar and I eat less crap. So, number 6 for me is eating well and eating 3 meals a day. Number 7, hydration. So we just talked about it. It is something I need to do. I drink a lot of water anyway, but I've started last year or maybe the year before to bring electrolytes into my water. So I used to do this as an athlete, and I know it helps with everything within your body and your brain. So yeah, having water, but also having electrolyte. I don't drink caffeine, so I will continue to be decaf all the way, whether that's tea or coffee. But I'm changing what I do with my coffees. So I used to drink oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk. I still like those, and they are actually my preference. I prefer the taste in coffee, but I'm going back to whole milk because it's better for you. I'm having unhomogenized whole milk. So, and I try and go organic where possible. So again, I really want to fuel myself in the right way, and whole milk is way better for me. Number 8, having systems. So I like routines, I like systems, I like weekly check-ins. We have a weekly budget check-in, we have a weekly catch-up on things that are in the calendar. I have routines for budgeting, I have routines for spending, I have routines for paying bills, I have routines for my week, I have routines for my exercise. So rather than having to be motivated to do things, I find if you just schedule them and you have a set routine every week, so a system for everything. We have a routine for cooking, food shopping, all that good stuff. It just makes life a lot easier. I don't have to get motivated to exercise. I don't have to get motivated to do my budget. I know that on certain days of the week, this is what I'm doing. So systems over motivation for 2026. Number 9, identity aligned work. What that means for me is roles that I want to do, I will take on. I will make space for them in my working week. I will engage in projects that I really think I can add value to. I will lean into working with businesses and projects that align to my value. I will know my worth and know my identity and ask myself whether when I'm being offered a role or an opportunity, will I align well to that? Do my values and my identity align to that of the people I'll be working with? And I don't have to prove myself anymore. I am at the stage now where, and this is something that's come with maturing, I think, and having experience. Even if I didn't do another thing, I've already achieved everything I wanted to achieve. So for me now, it's about maintenance and it's about heading to the next stage of my life, which is early retirement and creating wealth so that I can buy back my time. So I want to do identity aligned work that makes me feel good, makes me feel like I add value. And the projects that I'm doing at the moment, because I have a full-time job, I am a content creator with this YouTube channel. I am a consultant and I also volunteer as well. So all of the things that I'm doing at the moment, I really enjoy doing and are aligned to my values and bring me joy. And I feel like I can add value in that space. Value aligned and identity aligned work are really in for 2026. Number 10, smaller, higher quality circles of people in my life. I've always had a small circle anyway, and I have friends, but I don't really have a close group of friends. I don't like have a girl group, and I'm okay with that. I'm an only child and I am used to spending a lot of time on my own. I prefer deep relationships and conversation to surface level stuff. So that means quite often that I spend time with family members that I have really great relationships with, and my husband, and a few friends that I've known for many years, or some that I've known more recently, that I really just get along with and are like-minded and that I can feel at ease with. I'm definitely a person who needs to feel at ease. I'm naturally anxious and I'm actually an introvert, so people don't stimulate me, they actually drain me. So I have to find people that don't drain me and that fill my cup. And So that circle is getting smaller in 2026. It's definitely not getting bigger, but I am looking for that level of conversation that I just love and enjoy, that we can giggle, we have shared sort of things that we're interested in, whether that's hobbies or whatever. And yeah, it's just easy to spend time with those people. So smaller, more high quality circles of people in my life. Number 11, spending that reflects values. I will spend on things that I value. So for example, my health, travel, wellness, reading, education, high quality clothing. If I value it, I'm okay with spending money on it. But if I don't value it, then I won't invest a lot of money in it or spend a lot of money in it. So the things I enjoy, I will spend money on happily, and that's what money is for. It's not there to hoard. Whilst I encourage saving and investing, you also do have to spend money. And I'm reading a new book. I think it's called The Art of Spending Money. It's a great book for those of you that, like me, probably need to understand how to release a little bit of spending rather than worrying about it, because I was in a situation where I would spend way too much money in my younger years, and then I got on top of that. I'm still a little bit fearful of spending money, but I need to now in 2026 be more comfortable spending in areas that I value and that reflect my values. And I just asked myself the question, I guess, if I spend money on this, will my future me thank me for that? And if the answer is yes, then that's okay in 2026. And the final one, number 12, what's in for 2026 is mental hygiene. So for me, that's keeping my mind in a really positive place. And it involves things like journaling, reflecting on conversations, but not overthinking, curating positive habits, having analog habits and hobbies. So writing things down in a paper journal rather than on a laptop or on a phone, colouring, doing puzzles, having conversations rather than sitting and scrolling on my phone, creating things rather than consuming things. And that is definitely an in for me. I have to have social media for this role that I do, which is content creation. And I didn't have social media for about 10 years before that. I didn't have any, but now I have it. What I started to notice at the end of the year was I was starting to get more into scrolling rather than doing these analog activities that are better for my mental clarity. So I'm trying in 2026 to lean more into those analog hobbies and spend less time scrolling on my phone. So those are all the things that are in for 2026. Now my outs. I've got less outs, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad. Read into that what you want to. But what's out for me for 2026? Just trying to look busy and like I'm always grinding and hustling. When you look at a lot of personal finance stuff, we always talk about side hustles, and I do have side hustles. I think they're really important, and in this economy have become more important than ever. But I don't side hustle just to look impressive. I am side hustling because I need to earn a certain amount of money to maintain my lifestyle and to invest in my future. And I'm only doing things that align to my values and my identity. So I don't want to have an overpacked schedule. Even when I do these things, I want to be able to manage my work-life balance. And if I get to the point where I'm not having a good work-life balance, something will have to go. And so some of my volunteering or some of my side hustles will have to go because I'll need to focus more on my full-time role and obviously my well-being and getting that balance. So I'm not going to try and hustle to impress anyone. I'm not trying to be overstimulated and over busy all of the time. Being busy is not a personality type, and too many people make it a personality type. And I have been guilty of that in the past. So that is out for 2026. Emotional spending. Emotional spending is out for 2026. I found that it did creep into 2025 for me sometimes, and it wasn't even on clothes, it was on stupid things like food shopping. So I really love going to Marks and Spencer's. It's a massive flex, by the way. I don't do it because I work full time and I have lots of things going on, but there's nothing better than going to Marks and Spencer's in the afternoon, midweek, getting yourself a coffee and a cake and looking around. Marks and Spencer's is one of my favourite places to shop. But what I did find was a couple of times last year, if I was feeling sad or bored or whatever, I would use the excuse of doing my food shopping, and I would go and I would overbuy my food shopping or my toiletries and personal care items in places like Marks and Spencer's because I was craving something else. I was probably craving a hug. or I needed to talk something out, and I was emotionally spending money to make myself feel better. So that has to stop for 2026. That has to go. If I'm feeling emotional, I'm going to talk about my thoughts and feelings with people close to me, or I'm going to journal about them. I'm going to get them down on paper, or I'm going to give myself a hug. I'm going to have a nice hot drink, and I'm going to watch something or listen to something that makes me feel better, and I'm not going to emotionally spend in 2026. This is definitely one that I need to focus on because I have anxiety and I tend to get to the worst place ever when I overthink. All or nothing thinking is out for 2026. I don't want to be the person who sets myself a goal or a target and then falls off with that, whether that's exercise, eating, finance, work, relationships, whatever it is. And then I'm like, oh, I've blown it, so I'm not bothering to do this again. And again, when I'm not feeling super resilient for whatever reason, that can creep in and I can kind of self-sabotage. So if I have missed a couple of days of exercise or getting my steps in or cooking, I can then kind of get into this thing of, well, I'm not going to bother exercising now for the rest of the week. Or what's the point of going for a walk today? Or I'm just going to put an oven ready meal in rather than cook from scratch. So I don't have to do everything perfectly, and perfectionism is linked to this. So I'm going to add perfectionism. It's not actually on the list, but perfectionism is out for 2026. Don't let being perfect stop you from moving forward. You don't have to be perfect. No one is. All or nothing thinking is gone. If you make a mistake or you slip up or you break a habit, it's okay. You can get back on track tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next week. Number 4, I think, wellness as a punishment. So I'm not going to use excuses like, I want to go out for a nice meal, but in order to do that, I've got to exercise extremely so that I burn lots of calories before I go out for that nice meal. Again, being a former athlete, my relationship with exercise and food is one that I'm still working on. And as I said, I can undereat and I can over-exercise, and sometimes that can feel like a bit of a punishment. I don't want to feel guilty about anything that I eat, and I want to start to feel like I'm doing everything in moderation for longevity, which is what I've talked about in my ins. So yeah, using wellness as a punishment is gone for 2026. If I want to have some chocolate, or I want to have a burger, or I want to have a hot chocolate, I'm going to have it. And I'm not going to change my exercise regime to burn those calories or make up for that. I'm just going to get back on track and eat well, do my regular routine, and be okay with that. I'm not going to use biohacking without the basics. So biohacking for me is trying to use fancy supplements, trying to outwit my own body by eating and drinking things that are designed to be marketed to me to make me feel better. No supplement, no nutritional aid is going to work for me if I'm not sleeping well, if I'm not eating well, if I'm not getting my steps in, if I'm not regulating my nervous system. So I can't ignore my own signals. I can have supplements, and I do. I use collagen. I'm actually trying a magnesium supplement at the moment to help with my sleep. Both of those are from Wild Nutrition, and I really rate their products. But I'm not going to copy influencers, and because everybody's on the creatine vibe, I'm not going to say that's for me, definitely. I didn't use creatine as an athlete, so I'm reading about it now, but I'm not necessarily going to jump headlong into that space. I'm not going to try and you can't out exercise a bad diet, you can't out eat bad sleep, so you've got to get a balance with everything. And supplements and all these red light therapies and using a sauna and all that stuff, yes, they're great complementary things, but if you don't get the basics right, so eating, sleeping, hydration, wellness, they're not going to work. So I'm going to avoid biohacking without doing the basics. Number 6, this is a big one. I've got to stop ignoring stress signals in 2026. I have got close to, or have probably burnt out on a couple of occasions. Some definitely when I was younger and I was trying to balance sport and academia and work. I've burnt out because of relationship trauma. I've burnt out because of work. I've burnt out because I've overloaded myself and I've taken on too much, whether that's trying to socialize and work and keep these crazy hours. I've burnt out. So what I've got to do in 2026, and I wasn't I'm still not great with this. I need to manage my stress better. So I get stressed, and when I get stressed, I have physical and mental symptoms. So I don't sleep well, I don't eat well, I'm tired all of the time, but I feel on edge all of the time. I'm exhausted, my skin becomes dull. Um, I don't find joy in the things that usually bring me joy. I fall out of my routine. And a lot of my stress is through anxiety and overthinking. I know that because I go to the worst possible outcome on anything, but also it's because I take too much on. So I can't ignore my stress. And if I feel stressed, I've got to take a step back and really audit what it is that's making me feel stressed, journal about it, reflect on it, talk to people about it, and try and remove the stressors so that I'm not normalizing exhaustion and trying to push through, because pushing through for a long period of time doesn't do you any favors, and it has really negative effects on your well-being and your life. So I'm not going to wait until my body forces me to stop. I'm going to recognize the stress and I'm going to try and do something about it. The last two, number 7, I'm going to try and create more than I consume. So out for 2026 is consuming more than I create. I don't want to be scrolling on social media. I don't want to be lost in that sort of doom scrolling. I don't want to have to feel like I have to be on social media all the time. If I don't want to create a video, I'm not going to film a video. I want to feel motivated and bring my best self to these videos for you guys. So if I'm not feeling that, I'm just going to pause and I'm going to come back to it on a day when I do feel like that. I don't want to feel like because there's a trend on social media that I have to jump on that. I just want to do everything at my own pace. And yeah, I don't want to be caught in this cycle of constantly trying to keep up with what I see on social media. And I don't want to be caught scrolling constantly. So as I said, bringing in those analog hobbies and making sure that I create more than I consume pushes out that need for consumption in 2026. And the final one for me is I don't want my self-worth to be tied to how productive I am. Rest for me has been something that feels wrong for a long time. I'm not someone who relaxes easily, and I'm not someone who has valued rest. With maturity comes the understanding that rest is a core component to well-being, and for a long time I ignored that. I always wanted to be busy. That was like a major part of my personality. I needed to be doing something all the time. I needed constant stimulation. I couldn't sit still. And I probably do have ADHD. I haven't had that diagnosed, but the more I read about it, the more I feel like I might have some of those things. And rest has never been a priority, but it is now. So out for 2026 is being overly productive and feeling like I'm only worthy of rest if I've been really productive. And if I'm not productive, everyone's going to be better than me, and everybody's moving quicker than I am through life, and they're achieving more than I am. I need to stop thinking about that. You need to stop thinking about that. You are going at your own pace. You are where you need to be at the time you need to be there. You are okay. You are doing well. Your timeline is your own, no comparison to anyone else. So that is definitely out for 2026. So for me, 2026 is not about perfection. It's about longevity. It's about routines. It's about consolidating on the good stuff that I've done in years gone by and starting to recognize the gap and really be proactive in taking a step back and changing things if they're not working for me. I'd love to hear about what you're leaving behind in 2026, how you're entering into this new year, what your ins and outs are, and yeah, tell me a little bit about how you're feeling as we head towards the end of January. I would love it if you could like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help. I've got more content coming up. I've got vlogs from travel. I've got some more finance vlogs coming up as well, and I'll share those with you. But yeah, have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you in the next one.